Hello, I'm Larry Schafer. I've been going to Eastern Hills Bible Church since 1976. I and my family have been going here steadily for that period of time. That's 41 years, and I have had the opportunity and honor of being an elder at one time. I was saved here. I've been baptized here. So I've been around Eastern Hills for a long time. I'd like to tell you a story about how God brought Young Life to Syracuse. He used a T-shirt in the process. This is kind of a surprising event, but before I get into that story, I'd like to tell you just a little bit about what Young Life is. It's a Christian outreach to teenagers. It's far more than that, but we can't go into all of that. Its objective is to make sure that every teen gets exposed to the life of Christ. And its purpose is to help teens develop a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, let's get back to the Tshirt Story. Back in 1983, I believe, Penny and I were planning a trip across the United States. Penny's my wife. We have two children, Andrew and Carmen. We were preparing for that trip. Penny decided that we needed to have some extra t-shirts and sweatshirts along for the trip. She looks for bargains. She drove all the way across Syracuse to the Champion Outlet, and there she found a t-shirt for me. That t-shirt had a green frog on it, and it had Young Life written across the top. I started wearing that t-shirt on the trip, and I can't tell you how many people would come up to me and say, "Hey, you must be a Young Life leader." And I'd say, "No, I'm not a Young Life leader. Tell me about Young Life." I had no idea what Young Life was about. But people would tell me all the wonderful things about Young Life. That was going across the country and coming back. I actually wore out that t-shirt, wearing it mostly on the return to Syracuse. Anyway, we get back to Syracuse, and I'm pumped up about Young Life. I started talking with people at Eastern Hills about Young Life, and come to find out that a lot of the people, not a lot, but many people, had been involved directly with Young Life. They had been leaders, they had been in Young Life as teens, and they started, we developed a cloud of people around this interest of bringing Young Life to Syracuse. I vividly remember one incident. I was walking across the pathway into this building. Doug and I were going to a meeting, and we were talking about Young Life, and Doug said to me, "Larry, why don't you start Young Life?" And that was really, I needed to hear that. That was really important for me to hear. Let's get the job done. That was his charge, and I really took that on as a challenge. Now, since Young Life has been around, people have sometimes come up to me and asked me if I'm the person that started Young Life in Syracuse. And my answer is no. I didn't start Young Life in Syracuse. God did. There was a sequence of events that had to occur to bring Young Life to Syracuse. And God is orchestrating, has orchestrated those sequence of events. I didn't start it. We might as well say my wife started it. She went to the Champion Outlet and purchased this t-shirt, or the person who discarded the t-shirt or didn't accept the t-shirt, and that rejection resulted in it being put in a bin in Champion's outlet store. Or that Doug really started it. He gave the charge and endorsed and supported the development of Young Life here. Or that the church, EHBC, did. They gave money to kickstart the arrival of Young Life. Or it was Mike Terranova that started Young Life, because he's the first leader that came and really got it going here in the Syracuse area. So it wasn't any one of those. It was God working through sequence events to bring his kingdom to Central New York, to young people. That T-shirt was a discarded T-shirt. And we all feel discarded at times. I know it's a big thing with young people, with the teens. They're looking for acceptance, and they're often rejected. So we all feel rejection at one time or another. And in fact, sometimes it gets so bad that we begin to reject ourselves. And yet, when we think that God used a T-shirt to bring along His kingdom in the Syracuse area, He can do that. If He can do that with a T-shirt, He can do that with us, even when we are rejecting ourselves. So there's a message of hope here.